Hey, I just wanted to show off some of my scenarios I've been building. I've probably built good 30 scenarios since Shock Force. It's, come, I don't want to say a long way, but it has changed for the better, and they've added more AI plans, things like that. So I just wanted to show you one on my Fortress Italy Gustav line called Italian Coastal Defense. This one's probably about 50% done. I have the map done for the most part. I have the troops bought and the reinforcements scripted, things like that. So I just want to kind of show this off, and then I have another one in Final Blitzkrieg called Dethroning the King, where you play as, I believe, the Americans against the Germans, and uh, they just have a King Tiger on there and a pretty good defense. So scenario editor, I can do a video on showing people some things in scenario editor if anyone's ever interested, but it's if you read the manual and if you've ever worked with scenario editors, it's pretty self-explanatory. I did just want to um, load the map here. I'll just go ahead and show you kind of, this is like, the Brit scenarios are great for the most part are fictional. So it's like British mixed force against Italian mixed forces. And I don't believe I ever put German Italians, but that is one nice thing about the scenario editor is you can actually mix the nationalities. So this is the map. You're going to go ahead and, you can't see the Brits right now because this is the deploy Italian turn, but this is going to be the British setup zone, which is kind of a shelled out beach with a nice berm for cover for the initial part. All my maps and scenarios I create are rather large and intricate, so the faint of heart probably wouldn't want to play any of my scenarios because almost all of them are upwards, more than a battalion worth of troops for sure, or like an overstrength battalion most of the time. But anyhow, so here's the map. Kind of put a bunch of craters everywhere, simulate shelling of the beach, like these guys were invading or something like that. And then you got your crops, you got your midpoint in the map. Now this is, anything highlighted yellow is going to be an objective. But I'll show you one of the setups for Italian defense, and it's, you got to make a couple that vary, but of course by them foxholes, trenches, bunkers, things like that. And if you ever played combat mission, you know how impenetrable bunkers can be ridiculous. Fortunately, the Italians probably the worst country you could pick in any combat mission. Just very ill-equipped, not a lot of machine guns, not a lot of radios in their vehicles or even on their infantry, which is the worst. So I did everything I could to make it a stout Italian defense. They got infantry guns, anti-tank guns, extra heavy machine guns, heavy armored cars, which the armored cars are probably the Italians. One of the only things that you could probably praise the Italians for. Their AB-41 is a decent little infantry suppressor and vehicle. But just got an Italian line up here. I got some. Right here we got an infantry gun, and what they're going to be able to do is just kind of, hopefully this town is just going to be putting fire on the Brits as they're approaching. Here you got a decent rifle group. You actually got 2 Beretta machine guns in there and a Beretta submachine gun. But then you take a look at a group like this, and here we're working with 9 Carcanos and they got 18 hand grenades. Not very effective, and no one's got a freaking radio to save their life. Not even squad leads, not even platoon headquarters. I think it's like you gotta have freaking company commanders and battalion to even get a goddamn radio. Another 65, got a couple tankettes, you got your 37. I like to buy these Renaults for the Italians because the Italians just don't have shit, and this 37 can actually puncture some Stuarts and some fucking priests, things like that. Of course, got some machine guns up in the tower for harassing fire. They probably won't last long when you're playing. Another line of tankettes, got some bunkers, which are nearly impossible to destroy sometimes. Like I remember my last playtest of this map, I put like 12 Sherman high explosive rounds in these bunkers, and they just would not. And the concrete ones are even worse; they just would not die. Then you just got more Italians. So that's the initial defense there. don't know why it shows this guy on the machine gun, but if I go click on this machine gun bunker here, oh yeah, it does show him on there. Okay. Then you got your main defense, and you can see how I tried to vary the terrain. Basically, it's a slope up to the highest elevation, and then draw, and then the city elevates a little bit more. It's varied though. You have to have variance, so you can't just shoot across the whole goddamn map. Now when you get to the Italian defense proper, I've got them a bunch of Svante 47s, probably their best tank to knock out my medium tanks, my Shermans, things like that. You got your Svante 75s, not so hot, but because it's a self-propelled gun, it seems like it's like lower velocity, but they get lucky and knock out the heavier tanks. Here's the AB-41 I was talking about. Just got a lot of 20mm high explosive. Has a radio, which is nice. So plenty of machine guns. So they're really good at just suppressing infantry and light vehicles. Got some more Renaults. Designed kind of a little military base or hospital or whatever you want to call it. I always kind of do that. Here's just an example of all the different some of the different flavor objects you can get. These statues, this rubble, that you can put that on your maps. Adds to the loading time, but also adds to the immersion a little bit. Let me just look at some of this. Like I said, this is a crude build of this one, but you got milk jugs, sacks of flour. I bought them a concrete pillbox here. Bunch of trench full of AT guns, infantry guns, Breda machine guns, and then just tons of tankettes and Svantes and AB-41s. Bought him a couple of Svante 90mm, pretty rare weapon. I don't think it was used there wasn't a whole lot of them used by the Italians, but it's kind of their best chance of knocking out anything heavy that the Allies have to offer. Bought him extra light machine gun teams, heavy machine gun teams. Set up trenches, foxholes, more Svante 47s, 75s. Got a couple little 6.5mm, and we got another like 8mm tankettes, the machine gun ones, a couple more Svantes. Put them all out here in front. They end up getting shelled, which foxholes, they're just, foxholes and trenches are so nice in this game if you're trying to put up a defense, but they can just naturally go into the town and defend after that. That way, if someone assumes that the garrison is in the town and starts shelling that, they're actually going to be missing most of the enemy forces. More pillboxes and more trenches here, and then we've got a Svante 90 what we're looking at. So that's the crude Italian defense drawn up. The Italians are always kind of a shit team, like I say in any of the combat missions. But that's my Italian coastal defense map. Let me know if you guys want to see any of the playtests for it. I probably will put out a playtest, although they just last so long because they're large scenarios. And I'm also going to show off my fortress, or my final Blitzkrieg map that I've built, which is a pretty large map there. And also let me know if anyone wants me to put this scenario out there so they can try it out themselves. Alright, and look forward to the other videos on the final Blitzkrieg map as well. Thanks.